With the growth in retail traders over the past 6 months, has there been any noticeable behaviors from this group? Example, more short-term options buying or other things that as a result in Keith making changes to his model? Keen to learn how we build continuous improvement in the process.
Yeah, I mean, there's what you've seen me do, particularly those of you that have followed me for a long time, and thank you for that. I know that requires patience, because like most human beings, I'm flawed and imperfect and all that. But what you've seen me do is have a lot more patience on the short side. So again, and precision really matters here. Timing matters on the short side. If you're going to teach people how to short sell, that's another thing about Bitcoin. You know, they need to put on the big boy pants eventually and let institutions like just outright short it. Like if it's that good, then let us short it, you know, when we want it. I'm not shorting Bitcoin, I just sold it, you know, it's a neutral trend. That's what I do. But again, I digress on that. When you start to think about, you know, where we go from here, you have to incorporate that the volume, the total volume. Let's do a quick lesson on this. Slide five, guys. Let's slide four. Slide four. Okay, so taking a big step back on that. The investment landscape has evolved tremendously. Believe me, hugely. So what we're focused on is front running the machine. And what you see on that chart is that super duper smart hedge fund people, you know, don't forget that like guys like Novogratz, he's like king of Bitcoin because he ended up being really bad at being a hedge fund manager. You know, so again, because again, it's easier to just tell yourself that you're going to buy something with no volatility and not risk manage it. Unfortunately, you can't run a hedge fund that way. So again, you got to be good at managing volatility is the core of risk management, i.e. the core of an alpha dog in the hedge fund space. Now he'll be really pissed off about that because he's a really egotistical guy that, you know, wants you to believe that he just knows everything about everything when it comes to macro. Maybe he would admit. I mean, it's not hard to. Look at the calls he made on macro before it all ended on that front. But again, so those people have been downgraded because the machine has taken over. So up to the point where we initially started to show you that chart, about 80, well, on certain days, 85 to 90%, 85 to 90% of daily trading. 85 to 90%, sometimes greater than that, percent of daily flow. Let's just call this the flow. Because really what we're trying to do is front run the flow. Okay, we're trying to front run what the machine chases in terms of asset allocations, factor exposures, sector styles, fully loaded, including commodities like Bitcoin. Okay, so the flow matters, the momentum matters to that trade. When 80 to 90% of it is systematic or institutional trading, and again, quants, orders in the machine, that's one thing. What you've added now, Jonesy, is the squirrel. So now you bring in Portney, and you got 15 to 20% of daily flow. You know, last I checked, if you take that nut, it subtracts from that nut. Is people that are quite literally batshit crazy rookies that think that you hit on a 6 in blackjack and you like it, right? I mean, and a lot of them are doing great. I want them to do great for as long as possible. Again, don't forget that to capitalize on flow on the edges of the volume, you have to understand and embrace that these players are the two. He's let's say Portney's the incremental player in the game, and this is the game. Okay? So again, the question is how long can the incremental player in the game survive? Now, we've been talking about these people having some kicks and giggles for 3 to 6 months, but I've been doing it for 20 years. We'll see. But so ultimately the answer to your question, sorry for the long rant, but it's a real important one, is that I've just waited a little longer because I know that the irrationality in the 15 to the 20% of the daily flow can be beyond irrational. Do things that, like I've actually said this on the call or other product, which is, and now we have thousands of subscribers to that, so thank you so much for subscribing to that. I've said this many times. I would have never have thought that I could trade, and this is why like I've picked off so many single stock shorts so often, despite the market going up. Go to the realized positions that are single stocks, not macro ETFs, and look at my batting average in an up market. Awesome, as good as I've done. And I'm not trying to it's important. I've worked hard at getting this right. Because they do some of the stupidest shit that you would ever do. Like you could literally fundamentally have a data point sitting there with all those fundamental data points when this didn't exist, like when the hedge fund industry got eradicated by this shift. What happened was that everyone's edge, including inside information, sadly for many, Raj, all these guys, is that it all got arbed away by the machine. Now, you could literally know something fundamentally, and these yodels in the 15 to 20% bucket don't even know, right? So you could tell, like Nikola is a great example. You could tell, well, the company is actually being accused of legitimate fraud, and people kept buying the stock. Now they're buying it again, right? That's awesome, because we've changed the game one more time where we get some irrationality, and this is quintessentially part of a bubble, don't forget. This part is part of a bubble. This is secular, okay? Secular with a bubble. When you get to the end of a cycle, you get bubbles, okay? So that's an imbalance that we want to take advantage of. Thanks for listening to my rant on why I have had a little, just adjusted my model a little bit to have a little bit more patience so that most of you aren't like, oh my God, I've been shorting it for 5 days and I can't handle this anymore. I mean, yeah, you can. Like, do I look like I'm affected by this personally? Well, maybe I do, but I'm not.